Hi, John Solari, the method actor speaks along with my co-host Sharon Farrell, and today's guest. Can you pronounce your name so we don't get it wrong?
Alexis Kiley.
Alexis
Hello,
Kiley.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to speak up a little bit, and we'll give you the mic.
Really? I need a microphone?
Just in case, you don't really need it.
Oh, okay.
If you need it.
If I need
Just
it.
put it there this way. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, basically, since this is the Method Actor Speaks, I did attend the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute in Los Angeles, and I studied under Anthony Caldarella, you'll probably know Anthony, and Susan Onsbach.
Oh,
I
Susan
love her.
Ensbach.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about her. I haven't heard from her. I know that the last time I had spoken to her, she had cancer, so I wanted to know if anybody...
No,
Have you
nobody's
heard
heard,
anything?
no.
Yeah, she's kind of laying low. But she's a darling. Anyway, before I went to Strasberg, I went to CBS Redford Studios with Paul Ryan. It was musical theater, and I loved that. And then I wanted something more, and obviously I went over to Strasberg. My brother used to live across the street from Strasberg.
Oh.
So when I was like in 6th or 7th grade, he's like, "You're going to go there one day." And I'm like, bing, and I did. I just loved it. And I love the area. You know, I think gay people just have a different life about them, energy about them.
That LA 69 area?
In West
I
Hollywood.
don't know the
West
exactly.
Hollywood.
Yeah, it's West Hollywood. It just has a
90069.
really great energy, and then someplace obviously it doesn't. But I just love the energy.
And it's so clean, and there's flowers
and the French
everywhere.
Quarter was so
Yeah.
much fun. We'd go to lunch there after school or during school, like taking breaks or whatever. So that was like a little.
Over by the Silver Spoon too, and
Oh, I never went there. No.
That's where all the actors and Shelley Winters, a lot of the studio
Well, that was
people.
probably before because I went to French Quarter. So
Right.
yeah.
That's still there, I think, isn't it?
it's definitely still there.
Now, when you went to the Strasberg Institute, what did you work on? What was it?
What
What did you learn?
Oh gosh, well you attended, right?
Well, I don't remember the actors studio. I never went to Lee Strasberg.
Did you go to the actor studio in New York though?
Yes.
Okay, so we did relaxation, we did biography. I know you know biography. That was a lot of
what's
fun.
Well, the audience doesn't know. That's
Tell me.
what.
Tell me what I don't know what
it's so much
biography
fun.
is.
So when you're cast for a role,
Yeah.
you know how you have to do the background on who the person is and who you are obviously going to be. Biography is when you go on stage and you basically do all the background. So you write who you think you are, as your character. Did you have a character that you played recently?
No, I want to hear about you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I tend to do that. I always gravitate towards other people and want to learn about them. But basically what it is, for instance, I played my grandmother.
Okay.
And what I did was I did my grandmother's background history. My grandmother used to do radio in Chicago. She was a radio actress. She worked with Fred Astaire and it's just like old people, really like old
Famous
people.
old people.
Really, no, fabulous people. But anyway, but what it is you do the background and then you're acting out the character on stage. And then I did that for Kennedy's Children, and I forgot the name of the character, but I did it for Kennedy's Children, for a woman who was committing suicide at the end of the play. So what I did was I used my grandmother's portrait, and I got into character that way, and then I had pills literally scattered all over the floor, and I had a breakdown, and basically I was committing suicide. And I got a standing ovation in class, which was great because when we were on the second floor, what I did was, if you're familiar with LA second floor, they have a wonderful little French door that you can open. It's kind of small, but you and I would fit, to go through it. And what I did was I opened it up. It was like, oh, you're gonna jump. Oh. It was so great. It was like pushing the buttons, and that's what you want. You want the believability, right? So it was pretty intense. And I really got into it. I was playing Frank Sinatra and Elvis, and I was going through photo albums of my dad, because my dad already passed away. So I was doing that for Sense Memory. You know Sense Memory?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sense Memory to the audience is. You can't do anything recent, within the first 5 years, or the past 5 years, I should say. You regress all the way back to something that's really affected you, emotionally, mentally. So tragedy has been huge for me. So I have a lot to work with. I have a lot to work with. And people don't realize that because I'm really outgoing. But, I think that through tragedy, you learn how to really live. You really enjoy life and you can really be happy. Because without sadness, you can't really embrace happiness. That's my whole belief, right? Especially actors. Actors know that we know that.
It's a gold. It's gold. It's a gift for the actors. Is all that pain that you have
Precisely.
because you get to use it. It was great what you were saying there. I want you to keep going on about it.
Oh, okay. Well, you want me to tell you that my first day at Lee Strasberg?
That'd be
Okay,
great.
This was a lot of fun. My first class was with Susan Onspong, and I love you. I love you, Susan, if you're out there listening to this. But anyway, I just felt really safe with her, and that was huge with me, to feel safe, especially when you're doing acting or you're working with the director. And I'm very, very sensitive, extremely. So if I'm not working with somebody who respects that sensitivity, then I won't work with them, plain and simple. But anyway, when I first arrived at Strasberg, we were doing relaxation. That's the first thing that you do when you first enter class. It's a 4-hour class, and the first hour and a half, we're doing relaxation. So anyway, so I walk in and everybody's doing this. You know what I'm talking about. They do. I'm going to put the microphone, excuse me. We do this. Ha! And you kind of move your body around.
Do it.
And it's you have to just get into it, and you just kind of move your body, and then you let out whatever you're feeling. So just go ha. It's sort of like Zen kind of. Right. Do it louder, feel it. Right. Now go ha. Right. And when you do that, you jerk you around. So imagine everybody doing that in class, and I show up, and I'm like, these people have lost it. I mean, I really did. I was looking and go, wow, but there is so much truth to it. So when you stick with it, and you realize, I mean, within the first day, I realized it, but when you first look at it from an outsider looking in, it looks like, that everybody's lost it. They're 5150s, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, everybody, let's go to the hospital. But it was just such a beautiful experience. And you do become more relaxed when you do that. You get more in touch with your emotions, because on a daily basis, when you're dealing with people, especially when people aren't kind, you're going out into the real world, we always have to put up these layers, right? And because you're going to get hurt. People are sometimes not so kind, so we have to put those layers on. So when you're in school, at Lee Strasberg, you feel very safe because you let down those barriers and those walls and stuff. For me, it's really easy because I'm already very open, as you can tell. So I don't really have any walls up, you know what I mean? But I can sense people, if they're not good people, I can instantly. And
can I ask you why you believe you're open? What made you open?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I've always been like that since I was a little girl. But I think that my father had a lot to do with it, and my grandmother. My grandmother was a devout Catholic, but it goes beyond religion, because my dad was just a very gregarious man, and he spoke 8 languages. He was fluent in 6, meaning that he could read, write, and speak 6, and then the other 3, excuse me, yeah, that's good math. Yeah, we're sharp. But anyway, the other 2, excuse me, the other 2, he was just fluent, not fluent, excuse me, he could speak and a little write, but mastered 6. His first language was Latin, and he said once you master Latin, then you can do the rest are just piece of cake. And it's true, because everything was based from the Latin language.
Everything is.
Yeah.
That's
So,
true.
but my dad was just a beautiful soul, and he went to Northwestern University, and my grandfather was a doctor. So just being in a family that just really enjoyed languages and enjoyed people, it's just natural. I love people. I need to be around people. But then I also have a reclusive side to me too, that I love to stay at home and write and do my own thing. And then I build up energy, and then I go out and spread that love. Or light, as I like to say. Yeah.
Now, you said your parents had you when they were older when they had you.
I have 7 siblings, and I just recently met a new sister from somebody that my dad had met before, and she's just so lovely. It's such a blessing. I used to always pray, I wish I had a sister that was like me, because my other sisters, they're not. They're more tougher, and you know what I mean. And it's not putting them down or anything like that, but just not like me. And I love science and just a lot of things that we just don't. I think everybody has that in the family. You're just different. And then I come across this other sister from somebody that my dad had met prior. She was an opera singer, and she's everything that I am. Like, it's amazing. And so I'm like, my prayers worked. It was amazing after all this time. But anyway, so what was the question?
Well, actually, that was good. The answer was great. It was more what was it like in your house? The music, the people, the movies that you grew up.
Oh gosh, I was so in love with the golden era, the golden age of Hollywood. Why? Because it was glamorous. People carried themselves well. They took their art seriously, and in order to be a film star, you had to have a couple of films, under your belt, as opposed to nowadays people just say I'm a star, and I'm like, really? I would never do that. Like, if I had 5 films, I still wouldn't call myself a star. That's just me. And I don't know if it's because of my because I'm grounded, or because I take it very seriously. And I think so many people are so flippant with that word, being a star, But anyway, there you are. But I love musicals, I love singing. Why did I get into acting, and why do I love acting is I just love people and I love entertaining. And I think I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I think that's probably why a lot of actors get involved into acting, is because they want to show love to people. Am I right? What do you think? Why did you get into it?
I got into it because it was the only thing I was good at.
Okay.
And I was in high school, and I came from a family that was just a bunch of rednecks, and they were poor. They weren't rednecks by choice. They were just poor and uneducated. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad they had high school. My mom went to 6th grade, mm-hmm. and she had me. And when I was in school plays and stuff, and there was a teacher named Chuck Castleman, mm-hmm. and he used to say that he studied with all of these people in New York. He talked about Stanislavski, and he had us read what was that first Stanislavski book that everybody reads? John, what's the? Can you think of it? I can't think of it.
Don't think of it. It'll come to me. Yes.
And I remember reading Method or Madness. That was another book I remember that we had in high school. Mm-hmm. And I did Dracula. I was in Dracula. And he was a method. He studied with Stella Adler, and he studied with this Chuck Castleman said that he was a member of Actors Studio. He said that, and then later on we found out he was kind of like a phony baloney. He was a little bit of a Starbuck, He was a little, yeah. He was a little bit. He wanted to be all those things, but he gave a wonderful class. And that was I just really got into the part, and I just believed I was the person, uh-huh. And I went to New York with that, and I had to act because I didn't know how to do anything else. Mm-hmm. I walked dogs. And I got fired from that job because the dogs wouldn't go to the bathroom, and I got so cold, it was really freezing, and I brought the dogs back and they pooped all over the floor, so I ended up getting fired from that job. And I had, it was like God was just kind to me. He'd throw me little bones. I did modeling jobs, I was walking down the street, and there was a guy named John Harkrider that he would just walk down the streets and pick up people, and he'd get them work, and I did a calendar where I...
So you were walking the dog, and you just came by and said, I'd like to book you.
That's about it. That's just about it, It was just about it. I worked as a waitress, and I dropped coffee, and I got fired from almost every part-time job I had. The only thing I was good at, I used to walk a little boy to and from school, and I'd get $5 for that every day. But,
how old was he, 30?
No, he was like about 6 or 7, And it was so cold. The two of us just froze to and from school, New York is a tough place, it really is. And I just got out, and I just looked for work. I picked up Variety, the newspaper, and I went, and I just kept looking for work.
Can I ask you a question? What was the difference between, obviously it's a culture shock from going from where you grew up to New York, because it's so eclectic, the people are so eclectic there. What was the shock to you value? Did you have any shock value when you arrived?
Well, no, I kind of like New York. It was very organized because there's the east side and there's the west side, and
then there's your side.
It was like right, and then it was like the blocks were, and you could walk to places. You could take up, and you get these slugs. I remember we got these slugs because we didn't use quarters. We used these phony lead things.
Tokens, they call them.
Yeah, but they weren't tokens. They were lead. They were like.
Yeah, you could use phony ones. Yeah.
I mean, the tokens cost you 15 cents at the time I was there.
We used to put bingo chips in the parking meters. They were like the size of a dime.
Yeah.
They would work.
And did you make those or?
No, it's just bingo chips, the
okay.
little
And
plastic thing.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, for washing your clothes and stuff like that, we always used,
Years ago, you could do
used the
that.
real money. I mean, I don't know, you could buy a bunch of them from somebody for like, a couple of dollars, and you'd have like $20 worth of coins and stuff.
And all
But
that,
I struggled in New York. I really did. I sold cigarettes, in a restaurant, one of these kind of places. Ugh.
Well, did you go to New York? Were you in New York?
No, I
You
did not. I studied here, just in Los Angeles. But with you growing up with your mother, did she ever teach you anything that sticks in your mind?
Never get on top. Never let a man see you naked.
Really?
She had
Why don't you
a
sit next to
razor.
her?
She had a razor strap, and
Sit
she
over
was
there.
she was a hard ass. She was tough.
Really?
My mom, yeah. We come from oops, sorry. Oh, we come from two different worlds, but I the sophistication that you come from is just, I just love that.
Me?
Yeah, you're like from another planet.
No. And that's another thing too. I think everybody's equal. It's the perception. You know what I mean? Everybody is. That's very sweet of you to say, but everybody's equal.
Well, I don't know. My father could not. He was Norwegian and he couldn't speak Norwegian.
Well, that's okay.
And
That's okay, but that's his right, But if he really wanted to, he would have.
Yeah, he probably maybe he was mostly out drunk every night being abusive.
That's okay. Well, my dad was Irish. He liked to have his little cocktail. And he was fun. He was a happy drunk though.
Oh well, mine was happy too. My mom was the terror. My dad let us get away with anything, but my mom she had the razor strap.
Was she strong, like a strong type?
Yeah, she really was. And my grandma was the one that I really loved. I loved her. She had she had 10 acres. And she used to plow she'd get a horse and she'd plow. She'd plow and she fed everybody in the family because she had all these vegetables and she had this garden and she fed just everybody.
Aww.
And then she made sauerkraut, and that was our staple. We had sauerkraut with just about everything. And my dad worked at the stockyards because you could make $100, and he came back from the army because he was in the army. And he came back and he was
101st Airborne.
Oh really? Oh my dad was he was a grunt. He was just
that's okay.
He was like he won some stuff. He got caught between the enemy was here and his people were here and he was there and he like and then he wiped them all out and he came back and he got a bunch of medals and I used to wear
and then
them.
they drank scotch.
Oh goodness, I swear.
Speaking of scotch, what got you into, you do have that Elizabeth Taylor look.
Mm-hmm.
What made you, and you did some of that work, right, look-alike?
For Elizabeth Taylor, yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
What did you do? Where did you do that?
That was for Nokia, but, not but,
Was it
sorry.
kind of like a part-time job?
It was fun. Yeah, it's actually fun. You can just dress up and be whatever. They wanted me to do Marilyn Monroe too. You have to get a wig, but then I don't have to move my beauty mark because Elizabeth Taylor has a beauty mark down here, and
yours is on this.
Yeah, that's like
I've
that's like
I've got some
right.
somewhere.
That's like you covering that up and then putting it down here. Like why?
Oh, if you get a zit. I used to make anytime I'd get a pimple or something,
Oh,
I'd
that's
make it into a
hilarious.
ball. One time I had 6 of them all over my face because I was working with Ben Gazzar and
That's
he
hot.
made me just crazy. Ben Gazzar was so hard to work with.
Ben Gazzar, that sounds familiar.
Oh.
What did he do?
Did a lot of things. Ben Gazzara was a member of the studio.
I just need the face. That's
Well,
all.
if you,
The face.
you remember, he did a lot of the John Cassavetes films, Husbands. He did.
He did a television series called not Run.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, he's really.
Was it Run for Your Life?
I think it was that.
Was it Run for Your
I
Life?
think it was.
And he
The
was a guy
Cassavetes.
that
He did a
was-
lot of the Cassavetes films. It was him, Peter
And he
Falk,
was-
and Jenna Rollins.
And he
They
also
did.
on Broadway he did the.
He was the original. He was the
Brick.
original Brick in Sweet Bird of Youth.
No, hot cat on a hot.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I mean,
That's a great play.
he was the original. He was a great member of the studio.
And he was a really good actor, but he was hard on the girls. He was
Really?
hard on guest stars. And he came after, and he was married to Janice Rule. She was a beautiful, wonderful, very talented actress. Men, I'll tell you, they're there's a bunch of sex addicts.
Did you have?
They all are. They can't help it. They just are. Some kind
Male
of,
and female.
yeah, well, you're
Let's
right.
get that straight. It wasn't
All
only
right,
the.
you win.
It
You're
wasn't
right.
only the men.
I know. I'm just as bad.
That's right,
I'm
defend
just
the
as
men.
bad.
Well,
I
I
know,
mean,
but
He
men
has to.
are
no.
aggressive and they come after you, but you get to
Really?
make the choice. You get to make the choice. You
Oh,
know,
no,
it's like
it's glorious too. We love that. We
That's
love
how I
that.
became an actor.
Right.
Yeah.
My hands are cold.
Mine.
That's how I became an
always
actor.
like
Cold anyway.
Do you mind if I have
Oh,
some
you-
coffee? Thank you, love.
Oops.
Does it say Chicago? Does it say Chicago?
Yes, it does. She
Oh,
knew
I
you would
love
like that cup.
That's where Daddy was from.
Really?
Actually, Janine Tree, who owns the house, she went to Northwestern.
Oh, super.
Yeah, she's a Northwestern girl.
Chicago's great.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get back to Marilyn
Oh, I'm
and
sorry. We were doing an interview. I'm sorry.
Marilyn and Elizabeth. Do you still do it, or
Oh, yes, I do.
You do?
Would you like me to do it right
Yes,
now?
yes. Oh, yes. Will you please?
No. I don't.
Why?
I feel. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what you know. When I do acting, I like to do it on stage or if I'm filming. Then I'm.
You're filming.
I know, but this is different. I just.
this is just
I don't even know how anybody could do Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, what is she? What is she like? How did you find her?
Well, I tend to be a little louder, but she has a softer voice when you're doing Elizabeth Taylor, and her mannerisms when she's on screen. So, for instance, if I was going to do her on screen, she's more quiet on screen, and I have these movements, fast movements. She doesn't do that. She's very still. If you've ever watched any of her films, which is brilliant because that's what you get more intensity with the eyes when you're acting, as you know. Yeah, but I won't do it. Sorry, I won't.
You're not gonna do it.
No.
well, they were taught in those days camera. They were. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor was brought up on
I
film,
want to see you.
not
Yeah,
stage.
I go into like a mode. Yeah, I go into
So
a mode.
it's-
Especially if I'm doing acting. I mean, it's just to transition from an interview into acting. It's just, I don't know, it's something sacred for me. I'm not saying for other people, but it's just for me. Yeah.
Did you ever meet her, Sharon, Elizabeth Taylor? 'Cause
I never did. I met Marilyn Monroe. I was Some Like It Hot. They had a premiere in New York, and they had like Some Like It. They had these girls that were Marilyn Monroe.
Fixing your hair while you're
Okay. And that feels good. Don't stop. And I didn't get picked for the Marilyn Monroe. I didn't even get picked, but I had my hair all. I got my hair all. It was like
bastards.
really, really blonde. Well, I said if anybody gets sick, call me. And once somebody got sick, and I got to give her white roses as she got out of the car. And she said to me, she said, "Never marry for love, sweetheart. Never marry for love." However she did it, But
Did you take her advice?
oh, of course not. It's like I'm just a fool for love.
Have you been married a lot? Or
Oh, I've been married 3 times.
This
It
is
didn't
Hollywood.
work.
That's why I asked that question.
I tried that and I couldn't do it, and it's like the longest relationships I had were people I was not married to. I even had a baby. I was not married, to that person. I was married once for 2 weeks to Andy Perrine. Actually, it was 10 days.
Well, that's a record. That's good.
Yeah, that's long enough. But we had been together a lot longer than that, and then you he just drove up one night. I was out with Gary Lockwood, and he just got jealous. And Andy came up, and
Men tend to do that.
He came in a limousine, and he said, "We're going to get married. Come on, we're going to go to Las Vegas." And Gary Lockwood went to sock him, and he hit him, and Andy kind of fell against. He was half drunk anyway, and he kind of fell against the thing, and I felt so sorry for him. And Gary Lockwood said, "Are you going to choose me, or are you going to go with this jerk? What are you going to do, Sharon?" And I went with Andy, and so we ran up to Las Vegas and got married, and with a couple of other people, and we had all kinds of champagne, and he drove up with this limo and everything.
How about you? Have you ever been married?
No, that's why I'm so happy.
I want to ask how old you are, but you can't do that, I guess. I tell my age now, but I used to always lie about my age.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you were married, or when you're not married, but most importantly when you were married, do you have regrets that you didn't want to get married, or?
No, I think you can always get a divorce.
Okay, were you happy
It's
in all
fun to
those
do that.
marriages?
Yeah, for a little while.
See, that's smart. See,
And then I took off, and I was with somebody else, or, it's like if I met somebody, anytime I met anybody, and if I was really turned on, I went for it.
So instead of doing lunch, you said, let's get married.
Yeah, I was.
It's okay.
I was bad. I'm trying to be good now.
That's not being bad.
I've been 3 years with a man, and I haven't cheated on him one time.
Well, kudos for that.
And it's like, and he kind of says he was married to a sex worker up in Denmark or something. And she came from a very, very wealthy, classy family, but she was a sex worker.
Oh my
And he had to
God.
adjust his way of thinking. So he kind of expects me to go do something. But I'm busy being good. I want to be good. And it's like he's also, we make love a couple times in the morning, a couple times at night, so I'm satisfied,
Okay.
So I get a lot. I mean, I came over here, and I'd already been we made love 3 times this morning, Like he starts at 4 in the morning,
Wow, is this Dr. Phil? I'm sorry, am I on the wrong show?
I'm like, it's like I have, it's like, I've been very bad. I'm a bad girl, but I'm trying to be good.
Okay, so why do you think see, now I'm going to play Dr. Phil. Why do you think you perceive yourself as being bad?
Well, I'm not bad now. Well, I just, for example,
what do you consider being bad?
Well, it's like I had affairs with married men, and it's not nice to do to a sister.
Yeah, I've never done that. That's my code.
I never asked. I'd find out later, and if the wife showed up at the door, then I'd cut it off. When I really found out I was hurting somebody, then I wouldn't do it.
It's too
but
easy.
I never asked.
Yeah, it's too, for me, my perception is this. It is too easy to do it. It takes more strength to say, it takes more strength to say no. You know what I mean? And I'm always thinking of my other sisters. Women all around the world, like whoever they are. Even if they're not nice, I still would never.
But if you don't know,
and I'm not judging you because there's people that
okay.
judge. I'm just saying that. But for me, it's just because everybody. My point is, you have a life path. I have a life path. I don't judge you on your life path. Likewise on mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just, for me, because I want to live my life a certain way, and I don't want to ever have any regrets, like when I leave this world.
My only regret is I didn't make love with Burt Reynolds, and I didn't make love with Robert Stack.
I wouldn't make love to either.
Well, Burt Reynolds is still around.
I know, but he's.
I would be like, is this all we have?
I know, but when he was young, he was so sexy. And I was trying to be good then, because I had just got married. He had just married Judy Carn. And we were doing a Gunsmoke, and it's like, during a scene, I smacked him. And it was during a rehearsal, which is like very unprofessional. You don't call off and hit somebody. But he had been dragging me down in his lap and flirting with me all day long. And it's like I just couldn't handle it.
Poor darling.
And it's like, we just should have done it. We just should have done it. Wow. But those are my only regrets. I'd rather be sorry for something I I did than something I didn't do.
Good, we're gonna end with that.